Back to Your Town, Your Call here on Rogers TV, Georgina. My name is Rob Grossi. I'm the host of Your Town, Your Call, a program that we hope might teach you a little bit about what's going on in this municipality and some of the challenges, some of the successes, some of the great things that are happening in this great town, Georgina. So tonight, we decided we were going to talk about real estate because you can't go anywhere in this town today without people talking about the real estate market, the changing real estate market, how a house that they purchased, only 6 months ago is worth so much more today. And who better to talk to about the real estate market than Steve Peroff. Steve, great to see you.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, Steve, we've known each other for a long time. I remember when I first built my house here in 1989. You were already here, sort of established. When did you start?
89, February 89.
89,
It's my anniversary month.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So we were around the same time.
Yeah.
And you really got into this market and established yourself. You did a lot of promotion. You did a lot of what they told you in school were the right things to do. Get yourself involved. Everybody's got some pad next to their phone that has Steve Peroff's name on it now that you send out. I don't know how you get that into the houses every day, but when I go shopping at No Frills or Sobeys or whatever, everybody's got a Steve Peroff pad. So that's good.
Yeah.
Good marketing. You got your name out there. So you've seen this market, and you've seen what happened from 1989. So first of all, let's find out a little bit. Steve Peroff, where'd you come from? How'd you end up here?
Well, interesting enough, when I was a young lad of about 5 years old, my parents didn't have a cottage, so where did we go? We went to Willow Beach from Toronto.
Oh, wow.
And then as a teenager growing up, a friend of mine had a cottage in Jackson's Point, so where do we go to party? Jackson's Point.
Right.
And then I met a girl from Keswick.
Okay.
And I'm driving one day from Jackson's Point to Keswick, and I go along Willow Beach, and I phoned my mom, and I said, was Willow Beach where we went when we were kids? And she said, yeah. So I've been here a long time.
Oh, wow.
Even though we didn't move here till the end of 88, beginning of 89.
And you actually grew up in the west end of Toronto, around the Baby Point area,
Baby Point,
Jane and
Old Mill, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So then when you ended up coming here, did you have your real estate license when you came here?
Yeah, I just received it. We had moved out of Toronto. We lived in the Danforth for a number of years, and we just thought it was a great time to get out of the city. I know people are still doing it today, but we did it way back in 1988. We moved to Collingwood originally, but it was just too far a commute. We were still city people in our hearts, and 2.5 hours for a drive was just too far away, and Keswick was a really good compromise.
So city boy Steve Peroff comes up to an established real estate market in the town of Georgina, and the local boys like Blanchard and everybody else says, who's this guy Peroff all of a sudden shows up in town?
They love me.
Well, so and in those days, there were there was J.R. Dench, I guess, and there was
Jackson's Point.
Jackson's Point.
Simcoe Real Estate, and Family Trust.
So they're all pretty established brokerages here in town, and you ended up coming in.
At RE/MAX.
With RE/MAX, and at that point in time, RE/MAX was fairly new.
They'd been around. They'd been around for a while. Jim and Norm McDonald had the office, and I stayed with them for 21 years.
Okay, and then you recently, within the last 5 years,
end of 2009, 2010, I've been with Keller Williams Realty Centers.
And Keller Williams, just so everybody knows, Keller Williams is a fairly large brokerage.
It's a huge brokerage. Yeah, they're in 31 countries around the world now. And when I started, it was just the U.S. and Canada, and they're the largest. They have the largest number of agents working for them, and their sales volumes are. I'm not sure whether they're number one in the world, but they're certainly very close to being, if they're not already. Being
associated with a brokerage like that, there's lots of opportunities to learn and to share ideas with a company like Keller Williams.
Absolutely. Keller Williams is a unique company. They have it's a company that has a great training program. A great coaching program inside, and that's one of the reasons I joined. It's because I used to go outside of our company to get all of that. Right. And RE/MAX was a great company, but this just added a different level of expertise and knowledge, and was a better mindset for where I was at my career in my career at that time.
Yeah, and I say we're not suggesting that one real estate organization is necessarily better than another, because I know there's others that may be watching. But there's lots of opportunities out there, and a well-versed agent and brokerage is certainly something that is good for a buyer and for a seller.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're watching Your Town, Your Call here on Rogers TV. We're camera there. We're Your Town, Your Call here on Rogers TV, Georgina. If you want to give us a call and ask Steve some questions, we're going to start talking about the local real estate market. You can give us a call at 905-476-2733, and Steve will be happy to help you with your questions. So, I mean, you've seen this market over 1989. 28
I saw it go
years.
up, I saw it go down, and I saw it go back up
Wasn't
again.
that long ago, Steve, when you went into Keswick by the lake, and a lot of those people that had bought those houses didn't have the same equity in those properties 2 or 3 years after they had bought them. These are places that are behind the ice palace.
It was a very sad time at that time. I started selling in February '89. March 1st, '89, interest rates went up to 13%.
Right.
And then over the next year, the market just basically disintegrated on us. And over the next 6, 7 years, it went down 35%.
And you saw a lot of people. I can remember houses in Keswick by the lake where all of a sudden those houses that were had lost 25% of their equity, and a lot of that was their down payment, and it didn't make sense for them to be there anymore.
That's right, and that's why we ended up seeing a lot of power sales in those days as well. We haven't seen the like of that since then, but it lasted for a few years.
So having not seen the like, have you ever seen a market like you're currently seeing in the town of Georgina today?
I'd have to say no.
And so give me, from your professional opinion, why are we seeing all of a sudden, I mean, I just saw today that there's a house on Joe Dale's in Simcoe Landing that sold for $1.1 million.
Right.
I don't think I ever thought, when I stood down there with Fred DeGasperis and others, I don't know how long ago, we cut the ribbon for the first house that was being built. And I remember the signs saying starting in the 200s or something like that. And that was for a 3,500 square foot beautiful home.
I think the townhouses were like 149 or 119 maybe.
Yeah, okay.
And one just sold today for $530,000
For a townhouse?
on Glasgow. Yeah.
Holy jeez! Wow.
So it's not to say that they're all worth that kind of money, or that those all sell for
Good
that
hedge.
money,
You're a real estate guy, so hedge.
You got to be
that's
careful.
Because they'll all phone you tomorrow and tell you
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
The more the merrier.
More the
me.
merrier.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, the numbers are down quite a bit as far as listings on a normal month-to-month basis in the town of Georgina. How many listings would you see?
Well, I mean, typically, the last couple of years, where inventory was sitting around 120 to 150 on the average. Right now, coming into the year, I think we had 60 listings coming into now that's the market in total, not my listings. I wish they were, but we had about 60 total Georgina listings coming into January, and right now I think we're sitting at about 70.
Okay,
So.
and as well, I guess one of the things that people have noticed and they're starting to talk about is the fact that some of these properties are selling, and then a lease sign goes up that they're for rent.
Right.
So who's buying these properties?
Well, we're seeing a lot of investors come into our marketplace, and it's not us that's unique. I think I know it's happening in the Toronto area and right up through the corridor into York Region, into Newmarket especially, and Newmarket is becoming very, very expensive, and it's pushing people further north into our community and into Barrie and Innisfil and further away. So.
Yeah. You're watching Your Town, Your Call here on Rogers TV. You got a question about real estate? You want to find out a little bit more information about what may be happening within your individual community? Give us a call right here on Rogers TV, 905-476-2733. The 404 must have had an impact, or there must be. I think I even saw you do a commercial that said that the 404 had.
Yeah, I think I did do that.
I think you did. So it obviously did. I mean, I refer to it as the Georgina Autobahn,
right,
between Green Lane, because if you're not
you gotta move.
My gosh,
you gotta move. Yeah.
But it certainly had an impact on this community as far as real estate values.
Yeah, I remember back, when it opened up. I guess it was September 2014, right?
Right.
You would know.
I would know. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was there. Yes, I was there. Yeah. Okay.
And somebody from the town said, "Watch, real estate prices are going to go up 20% next year."
Right.
And I was going, "There's no way real estate prices are going to go up 20% next year."
Yeah.
And they weren't far off, because last year they went up 25.4%.
Wow.
So they were just a year off.
Just a year off.
Just a year off. So that's what the highway did for Georgina. Now, having said that, Toronto's also gone up. Everything along the corridor has gone up. Anything out of the Greater Toronto area has gone up.
I guess the big fear, though, going forward is affordability. If you have the market get that, I mean, the wages haven't gone up, for kids that are coming out of university and getting into the market for the first time. I guess it's all relative, but I'm trying to think back when I was coming out of university and I couldn't afford to buy a property, but certainly after working for 4 or 5 years, I would think seriously about whether I had the resources or whether I could partner with somebody else. That would even be difficult today, though.
For sure. I mean, the sale prices were basically motivated by low interest rates for so long, and really there wasn't the value on the house. It was what somebody could afford to carry.
Right.
And now it seems like it's just gone even beyond that, because there's now people that just can't carry that and they're not buying, so they're now renting. There's so many houses coming out for rent right now, and those individuals that probably would have been first-time buyers or getting into the marketplace in a lower price range are now the tenants in those homes.
Right. I guess the fear, and I'm not sure, but if history has told us anything, is that at some point in time there has to be a correction. I mean, who knows when that's going to occur, and is it going to be driven by government? Are interest rates going to go? I remember when I built my house in 1990, my building loan, I think if I remember correctly, was 16.25%. And then once I had built my house and locked in, I think I locked in about 13.5%.
Yeah.
And I can remember sitting down with my wife and saying, 13.5%. Okay, if we go to the bank and if we pay weekly instead of monthly, and if we, don't spend our money on this, we can at least carry it. And we managed to do it. And then when the mortgage rate went down to 7% or whatever it was, I remember the bank manager saying, well, you're in good shape now, you can just, and I said, well, let's keep it at the same payment.
Right, get it paid down
Get it paid down as quicker as we could.
Absolutely.
Thank goodness we did that, because I drove a 10-year-old car for a few years.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Until you became mayor, I think. Right?
Oh, yeah. I always wanted to drive a Mercedes. My wife said you couldn't drive that. Yeah, anyway, so if I'm looking for a real estate agent, and in this town there are lots of opportunities, and there's lots of great real estate agents. I went online today and thought I'd ask you a couple of questions. So, what's the percentage of sellers compared to buyers that you currently serve?
Historically, we're always around 60-40, 60% listings, 40% buyers.
Okay, and if let's say I decide I'm going to go with Peroff, and if for whatever reason I need to change my focus, can I cancel that, or is there time? There are time restrictions, are there not, when you sign a listing agreement?
Yeah, there's a contractual date that you have on your listing, and my theory always was that you can't force somebody to sell their house. So if you came to me and said, my plans have changed, I want to take my house off the market, well, we take your house off the market.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this was an American website or whatever, but anyways, it says, do you have a licensed personal assistant? Well, you have lots of different personal assistants.
Yeah, actually, I have a licensed assistant. I have, there's 9 of us on our team right now.
Okay.
I've got 5 licensed agents, a licensed assistant. That makes 6, I'm just counting here.
Yeah, okay.
A marketing coordinator is 7, and then I've got a client care manager.
And you spent a few bucks on that new building you built on.
We did. We're trying to make Georgina beautiful.
Yeah, and actually it's a fabulous facility. I've been in a couple of times. And I know, a big part of and what real estate agents do, and you have always done it very well, is give back. And I can just tell everybody that every Christmas when we do the Georgina Cares TV auction, everybody bids on one of Peroff's turkeys. Maybe there's something behind that.
Thanks.
And they always contrive. You give half a dozen turkeys or whatever. So thank you on behalf of Georgina Cares. But I mean, that's probably, if there's one thing that's really interesting about this community, and I know other communities, people are going to phone up and say, Georgina's no different, is that especially today, there are more and more agents that are getting involved in the community, whether it's the food pantry or whether it's different charities that they want to support, community living or other things like that. And that really shows a commitment not only as a brokerage or an agent, it shows a commitment to the community that whatever your profits are, you want to give back some of that to make sure that it goes to the
Absolutely. As a resident, I mean, we want to make sure that our community is thriving, and we've always had that as part of our personal philosophy in giving back to the community, whether it's sponsoring of kids hockey, baseball, or soccer, or a fishing tournament, with Canadian Tire.
And we're going to talk about an event later on that's coming up. We'll do that in our third segment. You're watching Your Town, Your Call here on Rogers TV. Georgina, we're talking about everything real estate. Stay tuned, 905-476-2733. We're going to be back with Jason Nugent. We're going to talk about mortgages and mortgage brokers and cost of money today. See you in a second.